Schlockmeister fans, it's the Haunted House of Horror, Frankie Avalon. Let's check it out.
Sylvia? Dorothy. Dorothy, it's Sylvia.
Hello.
See you tonight?
Yeah. Bye.
Here's Sylvia again. That's her ex-boyfriend, a married man named Bob. He doesn't like the fact that they broke up.
I thought we were going to finish it.
I'm not the linen, you know. You don't change me when you feel like it.
Bob, while it lasted, it was good. It couldn't last long. Don't you know when it's enough?
Where you going?
None of your business.
Well, I can give you a lift, can't I? What's the harm?
Hello,
He
Sylvia.
kind of stalks her now.
Hello.
Meanwhile, Sylvia has moved on to somebody else.
Out. So sorry. I thought I left my cigarettes on. I know an old house.
They decide to go visit a
Really
haunted
old
house.
That's right. It's always been good for a laugh, hasn't it? Okay.
What about
So Sylvia's amongst them. And of course, Bob follows. He follows them right to the mansion.
Now, Chris, grab the candle. The house belonged to one family for about 200 years. They were obviously a strange bunch. One night, one of them went mad. Hacked all the others to pieces.
They decide to have a seance, of
Oh,
course.
Gary, do we have to have a seance?
Don't blame me, love. It's Richard who claims there's a ghost.
Sylvia decides to leave. She's not sticking around for the seance activities. There's old Bob. Meanwhile, all the kids decide to separate while they're in the house and walk around with candles. There's Frankie Avalon. And then this guy, Gary, gets sliced to death. Find Gary's body and deduce that one of them did it.
Get her home. No, nobody's going yet. No one's going to go running off or running to the police. No, you're not. You're going to sit down and shut up. Now, if it wasn't one of us, who could it be? The ghost?
Oh, don't be so goddamn stupid. It couldn't have been one of us. We all knew him.
Did we know him?
In the middle of the country.
They're gonna hide the
Maybe
body.
not. Maybe he got sick. Maybe we had an argument or anything. Maybe maybe he'll just be missing.
I just can't seem to feel the way I think I should.
They all kind of feel guilty about it after the fact.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
The only thing
Paranoid.
that's still real is that one of us did it. But who? Which one?
You are afraid, aren't you?
The police investigate, of course, the missing person.
When did you see him last?
I don't remember.
You do?
And I think the police have been asking about him. Have you seen him? You haven't? I don't understand.
It's just Bob.
When?
I just wondered.
He gave her a lighter and she dropped it at the house, and he says he should go get it. So we're kind of led to believe that Bob might be the killer up until he gets killed at the house. This
I
is
don't think I can keep this up much longer.
Richard.
All the lies and the secrecy. Still not knowing whether it was one of us.
Insist on dragging out
The
this
gang
little
decides to
way
get back
1 minute
together and
longer, we'll all
explore
be
the
bloody
house to try to
psychotic.
solve
There is a way.
the murder themselves.
We could go back to the house and search it.
We did.
So,
Sylvia gets
it's
questioned.
not my day for hiding husbands.
No, I suppose not.
The gang does indeed return there.
off like that.
Richard tells a story to Chris about how he was
I got caught
traumatized.
in the cellar of an old ruin.
Yeah, as when he
I
was
was
younger.
there for 3 days.
He basically reveals that he's the
Locked in.
killer.
I was there. But I can in this house. I can kill them here.
He then takes out Chris. The police are closing in now, and he's about to kill her. But then a cloud obscures the moon, leaving him in darkness, which he totally fears. He panics. He runs out, and presumably gets caught by the police. All right. Let's talk about The Haunted House of Horror. This is a movie that I taped off of one of the movie channels, like Encore, one of those channels, maybe back in 2002 or 3 or 4, something like that. Haven't seen it since. I taped it then and remember nothing about it. Stars Frankie Avalon and Jill Hayworth. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, who was in the movie It, which I reviewed recently. It's a British-made film, 1969. And it's got a bunch of swinging kids. I guess, when I say kids, I mean in their mid-20s. And they're bored. They decide to go from one party that they're at to go to this abandoned house, this mansion somewhere that one of the guys used to hang out with when he was a kid. He's like, hey, we can have some fun there. Let's just go there. So they go there in the middle of the night. And it's, like a haunted mansion, basically. So they're hanging out there. The next thing you know, one of the guys ends up dead. I think his name was Gary. He gets sliced and slashed and killed. Well, the rest of the gang stumbles upon the body and they go, oh my God, what happened here? Blah, blah, blah. And then one of them decides basically, well, one of us did it. And obviously nobody fesses up to it. So they decide, a couple of them apparently have police records. They're in trouble. They don't want to cause any more trouble. So they said, one of them decides, let's just decide, let's take this body, hide it far away, bury it, and let's pretend this never happened. Doesn't seem like the rightest thing to do in the world to me, but whatever. They all agreed to it. They hide the body. Well, the police start investigating soon after he's declared missing. There's a subplot here where one of the persons who was this woman, Sylvia, who was at the party, she actually went to the mansion, then she left early. She's being kind of stalked by her ex-boyfriend, who is a married older man, who doesn't like the fact that she broke up with him. So we're kind of led to believe that he might be the killer here. He was kind of stalking her, following her, that sort of thing. So anyway, the police are investigating the missing kid, Gary. Ultimately, Mr. Keller, Bob, who is the older married boyfriend guy, he decides to go to the mansion himself because he's looking for this lighter that he'd given to Sylvia that Sylvia apparently dropped there. And I don't know exactly why. If he wasn't the killer, then why would he need to go back there? Well, whatever, who cares? He goes back there and then he gets killed. The rest of the kids are all feeling kind of paranoid and guilty about what happened. So they come up with this genius idea. Let's go back to the mansion and see if we can poke around a bit and figure out what happened. I don't know. So what happens is another guy gets slashed. Frankie Avalon, who's there, he plays Chris, he gets slashed. We find out who the killer is. It's this guy named Richard, who apparently was traumatized earlier in life when he's terrified of the dark, but when there's a little bit of light, he can he's kind of okay and he can kill people. So he kills Chris, Frankie Avalon, and he chases Chris' girlfriend Sheila, who plays by Jill Hayworth. And but just like a cloud goes over the moon. Next thing you know, it's totally dark again. So then he panics and freaks out just as the cops show up. And presumably the cops took him away. And that's how our movie ended. Kind of abruptly there. We don't even see what happened to Sheila, who was running off screaming. But at least she presumably didn't get killed. So anyway, that's it. It's an okay film. I think it had a little bit of a spooky vibe to it. But it was just okay. The gore scenes actually were pretty good. There was only like 3 of them, though. It kind of played like I don't want to say it played like an 80s slasher movie, but it did have a certain vibe to it, minus the nudity or that sort of thing. It didn't have any of that. But yeah, it was just basically a serial killer slasher, gory film, who done it, and then we figured out at the end who did it. We don't see what happened to him, though, so maybe he got away. They could have made a Haunted House of Horror Part 2, which they haven't. This also was called Horror House, I believe. That's pretty much it. So anyway, like I said, I've had this on a VHS tape for a long time, that I taped myself. It is available on this DVD from Digicom TV, I guess, put this out. I've never heard of that company before, Digicom, but there it is. Haunted House of Horror. Curious if anybody else has seen this movie. I've seen this now twice in my life. I don't anticipate watching it a 3rd time, but you never know. Check it out. Leave some comments. I'll leave a link to something down below. Watch it. Haunted House of Horror. Bye.